Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Leslie Richards, and I lead the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. We're a $10 billion agency with over 11,000 employees. And the reason why I start off with those facts is because I want to let you know what a big deal PennDOT Connects is and what a big impact it's having. For me, transportation has always been more than getting people and goods from point A to point B. It can make you smile. It can reflect a history of a place. It can tell you that you're in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, which happens to be the home place of Mr. Rogers. It can make you feel good that it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It can help you with freight. When you've ordered your Amazon order and within 24 hours, you want to see that box on your doorstep. And as I've seen in Austin, it can be the home to the world's largest urban bat colony when you have the right bridge. But knowing that transportation plays a role in community identities, where it impacts economic development, it impacts quality of life issues, it impacts why people choose to live where they live, why people choose to work where they work. This is why we made a significant shift at PennDOT in how we plan, how we build, how we design, how we program our funding, and how we deliver our projects. This is part of a successful evolution of being a Department of Highways to becoming a modernized multimodal agency where we're providing mobility options for the communities that we connect. We know that when we have early engagement from planners, engineers, and people who live in our communities where our assets are located, we can make a big difference and good things happen. One story, of course, when you start to make a change, you don't always have everyone say, okay, we're ready, let's go. There are always those people who are a little worried about it. And one engineer in particular kept telling me, how do I go out to a community without something to show them? And I kept encouraging them to just go out and have a conversation first. So he said he would do it, and I know in the back of his mind he was doing it because he wanted to prove us wrong. But he went out and had a conversation and realized what that asset meant to the community, what it was that they wanted to achieve, how did they want to look 15, 20, 25 years from that point, and how our asset could help us get them there. And he came back and he said, you're right, you've made me a better designer. I didn't start off with a preconceived idea of what things should look like, and I also don't have that frustration of having to go back and change my design so that it can fit in to the community where we are. So what he learned is how to listen. And I truly believe in listening. I learned how to listen when I was a township supervisor of a township named White Marsh Township. I was the chair of the Board of Supervisors. And I was given the quintessential local township issue, which was putting lights on a field in an area that doesn't have any more open space, where there's a thriving soccer and lacrosse children's program and school programs, but it's also surrounded by 3 different residential neighborhoods. So how do we do this? And our township meetings became yelling sessions with children in their soccer uniforms and their lacrosse uniforms. But then we were also, had people from the neighborhoods come up, people with children with special needs, people with epilepsy that were worried about how the light would impact their lives. We had every form of NIMBY, of banana, build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything. We had, what I call the caves, the citizens against virtually everything. We had the notes, not on planet Earth will we allow this to happen. But what happened at those meetings, we started to listen. And I started to realize that everything wasn't as in conflict as it sounded from the beginning. For instance, they didn't want the lights to stay on too late. So I said, well, what if we promise that the lights go off at 8:30? Well, we can live with that. They were worried about noises. I said, what if we promised there'd be no band practice on those fields? What if we promised that there would be no games that have a lot of spectators coming to those practices or to those games that are sitting out on those fields for long periods of time? We were asked about the brightness of the lights. I said, what if we had engineers come out every 6 months to check how bright the lights are, how far the light width shines? And they could live with that. So we came up with the first ever outdoor recreational lighting ordinance in White Marsh Township, and we regulated those lights. And I'm proud to say at this time, right now, in June, will be going to my daughter's graduation, which will not be on the lighted field because it's not allowed in the outdoor recreational lighting ordinance, but it will be on the fields adjacent, and it's fine, and it's working really well. And that's how I learned if you listen closely, you can often solve problems that seem like there are no solutions. So when I explained what we were doing to our state legislators and let them know that we are going to go out and listen to our communities, we are going to go read their comp plans, we are going to see what their plans are for their future, we're going to listen to what their bicycle and pedestrian options are, where stormwater is a problem, we're going to see where emergency management concerns that they have, where freight corridors are important, where access to transit, where ITS and real-time data traffic can help with congestion and other issues that they have, and hear what their concerns are, and see how we can help these communities. One of our representatives, Madeline Dean, who was representing us at the state and is now representing us on the national level in Congress, she said, I get it. Every dollar you invest into one of your projects is a dollar invested into a community. And that's exactly what we are doing. We are considering community needs at the very beginning of projects, when the planning is starting, before the scope of the project is made, and before the dollar amount of the project is assigned, so that we can fully understand what is going on, and that we can maximize the value to our communities, and also best allocate the resources from PennDOT. So let me give you a few examples of where this is working. Right here is an area in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. And in the Pocono Mountains, we had to do a major reconstruction of a road. And in doing the major reconstruction, we realized by looking at the comp plans and talking to some of our county commissioners and the stakeholders in the area, that they had a plan to build a multi-use trail. It was a missing link to a large trail network. We didn't know that beforehand. So as you can see on the first picture is our roadway. Next to it is a safety wall that was part of the original project. That would have gone back in. But after talking to our community and after seeing what was important to them, we decided to build a retaining wall. By building the retaining wall, the project on your right will be built years ahead of time and at a reduced cost for the county because they can start laying that trail because the retaining wall is there. In other projects, we're seeing utility coordination. We're seeing pedestrian access being improved. We're seeing in one where pedestrian access and a pedestrian walkway is added to our bridge, and it's allowing them to eliminate a very high maintenance pedestrian only bridge that they have in one of their local parks. So we're really working together to build better communities. This is our Little Muncie Bridge. It's a bridge in central Pennsylvania, one of our rural areas. What was important to the community while we were building this bridge was that it looked like the old bridge. The bridge was no longer eligible for historic requirements because it was in such bad condition. So we went in, we used new materials, but we made it look exactly like the old bridge. We heard that that was important to this community. We even replicated the county commissioner plaque. It was initially a county bridge, and those are the original, over 100 years ago, county commissioners that were there when this bridge was built. And what we're seeing now is this is such a vital part of the community that people are taking their wedding pictures, and this is the backdrop. People are at their graduation photos, they want this to be the backdrop. It's an integral part of the neighborhood. This is right in Johnstown in Pennsylvania. This used to be a very confusing intersection, so much so that people would bypass the area. They didn't even want to drive through it. We got together, we formed the roundabout solution. It's reduced accidents. It's definitely reduced the severity of accidents as well. But because of our conversations, we found out that there was a need for additional bus shelters. We found out that there were missing links of sidewalks that we wanted to build. We also put an extra 5 foot of shoulder along some of these routes because it's part of the 911 Memorial Trail, the trail that will be built from New York, from the Twin Towers location to Shanksville, where Flight 93 went down, to DC, where the crash near the Pentagon happened. And if we hadn't had these conversations, we wouldn't have been able to plan ahead and make sure that that trail gets built. The last project I'd like to talk to you about is in Philadelphia, our largest city in Pennsylvania. And this is part of the I-95 reconstruction, one of our largest projects. And PennDOT Connects and talking to stakeholders can be just as important in a large-scale project like this that's worth over billions of dollars. And what we had here is a raised structure that cut off neighborhoods from the river. So when you're visiting the Liberty Bell and you're visiting Independence Hall, you had no idea that you were so close to the Delaware River. So instead of continuing that structure, on one piece of it, we are showing, we're building a cap. You'll be able to see the Delaware River, and it is going to add acres of green space. It's going to help us with wetland mitigation for the project, but also provide a wonderful green area for those in Philadelphia. So we're very excited about what we're doing in Pennsylvania, how we are looking and engaging local governments, local stakeholders, our local planning community. We are strengthening those relationships. Those relationships are helpful not only in building better communities, but also when emergencies happen. We now know who to speak to. We now have stronger partnerships, and so that we can do our job better all around, but particularly in these ways of making sure that we have true neighborhoods, that we have true communities. So with PennDOT Connects and working together and having good discussions, and most important, listening, we can make sure that every day is a beautiful day in our neighborhoods. Thank you so much.